Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Connect Labor panel. My name is Alejandro Calderon, and I am the Labor Engagement Manager for the Carbon Management team at the Great Plains Institute. And today, I will be your moderator, your MC, your DJ. I will be whatever this panel needs. DJ, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But what I'm not kidding about is the importance of this panel. You know, we're getting there to the end of the day, and we've had a chance to hear about policy and achieving our goals, taking action. We've had a chance to explore jobs and economic benefits, but yet we have still not addressed the elephant in the room. And that is who's gonna get us there. And that is our workforce. The people that will ensure the carbon management infrastructure is built out, is maintained, and of course, all of this done in a completely safe manner, because organized labor cares about their workers and their safety. But before we get started, we are gonna get a chance to introduce our distinguished speakers today representing labor voices. So I'm gonna read their bios. Starting with Jeremy. Mr. Jeremy Moddrell, Pipeline and Gas Distribution Special Representative for the United Association of Journeyman and Apprentices of the plumbing and pipe fitting industry of the United States and Canada. You guys should maybe narrow down your name the next time. I'm just kidding. Now, additionally, in 2023, Jeremy was appointed to the new White House task force that will provide input to inform the responsible development of carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration. Jeremy Moddrell. Our second panelist, Leonard Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar started his career as a pre-apprentice with UA Local 142 in San Antonio, Texas. He then worked his way from the field to becoming an organizer and then a political director with the Southwest Pipe Trades Association, which covers the 3 states of Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico. After his time with the pipe trades, Leonard became the executive director of the Texas Building Trades, where he focused on the needs and rights of construction workers in the state of Texas. And now, Mr. Aguilar is the secretary-treasurer of the Texas AFL-CIO, and it is the first Latino to hold office in such position. Leonard Aguilar. All right, so we're down to our last but not least panelist, Kevin Pranis. Kevin Pranis is the marketing manager of the Labor's International Union of North America, LiUNA, in Minnesota and North Dakota, and he manages the union's energy and climate portfolio. Kevin has served on Minnesota's Climate Advisory Council, and he has helped draft the state's new 100 Clean Energy Law, and currently holds chair in a group charged with developing policy framework for decarbonization and transportation and fuels. Kevin Pranis. We'll have music for you guys the next time. Now, it is an honor to have each and every single one of our panelists with us today and for them to be part of our panel discussion. I know you guys are eager to hear about them and have me stop talking, so we'll get there to the panel questions. But today we'll be focusing on 4 specific topics related to organized labor and the clean energy transition. We'll be touching base on transferable worker skill set, unlocking the Inflation Reduction Act, skilled labor and training workers, and carbon management, jobs, and people. Now, our first topic is going to be all about leveraging transferable worker skill sets, in which Jeremy will be providing insights. Organized labor can play a vital role in clean energy transition. And in today's rapidly changing world, it's not just about jobs, it's about livelihoods. And we've seen through Vernon Parish that it can be the very essence of a community. Jeremy, can you handle question number 1? How can we best leverage the existing skill sets of union workers from the fossil fuel industries to transition into carbon management careers? And what are the key transferable skills that can facilitate this transition? The floor is yours, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks. Hello. Thanks, Alejandro. First off, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and the invite. My only disappointment is I thought you were going to MC a rap battle between us three, and I have rhymes I drop like dimes, so maybe next time. But yeah, Alejandro's always been a great advocate of labor and a good friend of ours, so I really appreciate what he does. To answer the question, I think first and foremost, early engagement with the labor unions to develop the industry partnerships that we spoke about this morning in Vernon Parish. These partnerships solve problems on projects, and the early engagement enhances that. So whether through a PLA, Project Labor Agreement, Community Workforce Agreement, MOU, or one of these CTE programs, I think it's paramount that we do that, especially heading into a new industry with CCUS. There is a lot of technical differences, such as the weldability of the pipe, but we train to that. That's what we do. As far as, our members are adaptable, right? We adapt through training, and whether they need to learn a new skill or come down to the hall and refresh themselves, that's what we do. And all that training that we do at our local union facilities is free to our members, right? So they have no reason not to. As far as time, what's the dollar amount on your time? But there's no dollar out of pocket for our members to come down and train and learn new skills or enhance the ones they have. Some of the key transferable skills, in the fossil fuel industry, it aligns really well. Welding oil and gas lines is not far off from welding carbon transport lines. In the safety aspect, there's going to be different hazards our members have to, identify and adapt to, but the culture's there within the union trades. We're the safest construction. We are the safest in the construction industry. That's statistics, that's math, right? And the beauty of our membership is that most of them are cross-trained. They can go anywhere, and meaning one day they can weld on a nuke plant. The next day they could be on an oil refinery, a fertilizer plant, pipeline, carbon capture facility, whatever. They can transition around, so we're excited about the transition. So the short answer to the question is, yeah, we're ready, we're poised, we're willing to make that smooth transition into the carbon capture careers.
Thank you, Jeremy. And just a reminder, in Connect 2024, there will be a rapping labor battle, so look forward to that. Now, our next topic delves into the implications of the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act and the impact on clean energy projects. Leonard Aguilar is here to provide his expertise. Leonard, the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act significantly affects clean energy development. And in today's world, policy decisions like IRA are not just words on paper. They can represent hope of progress. They can represent a promise of a better future. Now, for this panel discussion, we're interested in understanding how IRA affects clean energy projects and how organized labor can help maximize the value of the Inflation Reduction Act. Because these policies are more than regulations, and if they're enforced properly, they can serve as guardians of fairness, they can serve as custodians of opportunity. Leonard, could you address the following question? What are the implications of the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act on the development of clean energy projects? And how can organized labor contribute to maximizing the value of IRA tax credits through adhering labor standards, prevailing wages, and apprenticeship utilization? The floor is yours, Leonard.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. And again, thank you. Thank you to the Great Plains Institute and everyone who worked to put this event together. We appreciate the opportunity just to share the space with you and with so many great leaders like yourselves and being here today. We also need to make sure, and we also need to thank the hotel staff. We need to thank them for the work that they're doing to make our stay a pleasant stay here. So let's give them a round of applause if you can, please. Thank you to your folks back there that are taking care of all the sound and lights and everything. Thank you all also. And last group that I need to thank is my family, because without them, I wouldn't be here doing this work and have this opportunity to be in front of a great group of people like yourselves. So got to thank the family at home. On behalf of Rick Levy, our president, my name is Leonard Aguilar. I'm a UA member. There's a lot of us around, just we're everywhere. But I'm a member of Local 142 in San Antonio, and I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Texas AFL-CIO, and I have the great honor of representing roughly 240,000 union members in the state of Texas. You wouldn't think there would be that many, but we got some pretty good union folks in the state of Texas. We have a couple of them in the audience today. We have Donnie Mayo, we have Greg De Hoyos. They're labor leaders in Texas, and they are members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 66. We also have Cecilia Begum with our Texas Climate Jobs Project. She's sitting over here. They are doing great work in the space and working for a pro-worker, pro-climate agenda. If you haven't heard of Texas Climate Jobs Project, need to Google them, check them out. They're doing some good stuff. The question is, how can labor contribute to maximizing the value of IRA tax credits through the adherence of labor standards, prevailing wage, and apprenticeship utilization? Just real quick so I can get a better understanding, is how many folks in the room are actually contractors or developers? Anybody? Cool. Educators? Awesome. Appreciate it. Gives me just a little bit of a better understanding. We've heard multiple times today that there aren't enough workers to take care of the work that we have right in front of us now and in the future. This administration has done something special with IRA. It's not only looking out for the employers that are here, it's also looking out for the workers at the same time, a unique opportunity that we have in front of us. One example of that is the tax credits that are available. The tax credits that are available to help the workers, again, and the contractors. The contractors primarily, but also the workers with the employment that will come with that. One of those issues that we had talked about was the labor standards. And coming from the state of Texas, we got a lack of labor standards. If workers had the security and labor standards on the job, speaking in Texas alone, I'm not speaking for any other place, it would bring out more workers for the numbers that we are needing. A construction worker in Texas dies roughly every 2 to 3 days due to the lack of safety standards and or training on the job site. That's unacceptable. Wouldn't you agree that everybody should be able to go home at the end of the day? I mean, yes? No? Awesome, cool, there we go. Everybody should be able to go home at the end of the day. That's just bottom line. That's something that we should do. It's common sense. It's not anything that is going to be crazy and out of the ordinary. Again, if we're trying to fill the void and the lack of workers now and in the future, what the IRA has done has put in that level of wages. If we compare a fair wage, a prevailing wage, that's going to also bring people out. That's going to bring a whole other group of workers that is going to come into these trades or come into these opportunities of working in these factories or the different opportunities that present themselves, like somebody was talking about earlier, because it's hot during the summer, it's cold during the winter, it is a hands-on, it is a physical type of work for the most part. And if you increase those wages to a fair wage or a prevailing wage like IRA has in there, you're going to take care of a lot of those issues and questions of not having enough people to take care of those jobs. Another opportunity is training. We heard about training earlier this morning, and I imagine we're going to hear about it still later on today. I hope we do, because training is key to everything that we have in front of us. Training the next generation of workers, utilizing our Department of Labor registered apprenticeship programs. These programs are all over the country, and they are the gold standard. There's a reason that the administration put these in there. They're the gold standard. They're going to provide the employer with an employee that's going to do the job safely. Not only are they going to do it safely, they're going to do it on time, and most of the time they're going to do it under budget. That's a win for everybody, especially the contractor at the end of the day. Organized labor, building trades, machinists, our transportation members are all in a prime position to be a partner in this work, in what we have in front of us. We have all the pieces of the puzzle to make this work, to help any employer utilize the opportunities that IRA has to offer. It was earlier today, I think, Mr. Nordstrom, you had mentioned that we can't forget about the current jobs that we have in place right now and those current workers that are working in a lot of these facilities and factories and plants. We need to protect them. We need to worry about them. We need to make sure we take care of them. But at the same time, we need to also make sure that we are taking care of those new jobs and those new workers that are coming into the ranks. We need to make sure that they have the safe jobs. We need to make sure they have the prevailing wages. We need to make sure they have the opportunities to those Gold Star training programs. That's a very important piece of the puzzle that we have in front of us. And we in this room can help make that happen, and our offices and our organizations back home can help continue that work. One other piece that we have is that workforce development. I added this to my remarks because of just the way the conversation went on earlier. We had talked about the great work that the UA is doing in Louisiana, but as my time at the building trades in Texas, we had started working on what they call the Apprenticeship Readiness Program, or the Multi-Craft Core Curriculum, the MC3. That's a pre-apprenticeship readiness program that is for all crafts. It's going to help with electricians, plumbers, sheet metal workers. The list goes on and on of all those building trades opportunities. You're getting somebody that is coming into a pre-apprenticeship training program to get the basic knowledge of OSHA 10, of first aid, of CPR, construction math, getting basic knowledge of these different trades that are out there and the opportunities. After that course, they will pick a trade that they want to go to, which will most of the time get them a direct entry into that registered Gold Star apprenticeship program, which not only helps our apprenticeships, but it helps our contractors at the same time, because the retention rate is higher because this person has already gone through the training, the pre-apprenticeship training through this apprenticeship readiness program. The training was created by the National Building Trades from all its different affiliates, from UA, from the laborers, from the sheet metal workers, from the painters, all across the board. It was created for veterans, for women, for people of color. It is another opportunity and another way that organized labor can help put this and complete this puzzle that we have in front of us. The program is established all over the country and is working in high schools and adult re-education. Our union and our training programs are here to partner and to help not only help our organizations, but to help our communities, because we all deserve a fair shot. With that, I would just ask if you guys have some social media, got to put a plug in there for us. If you could follow us at TX Climate Jobs on Twitter and at Texas AFL-CIO, we would appreciate that. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Leonard, for such detailed information. And also, I'd like to add that I usually introduce other labor people that are here today, so you beat me to it, Leonard, but I'll make sure next time the speakers and the other labor partners here today will get introduced. Now, we're going to move forward to our third question, which will be talking about skilled labor and training workers. And we'll be coming back to Jeremy for that one. Jeremy, in a world where technology evolves daily, and skills are not just tools, but they're also a bridge for an individual's brighter future. When it comes to skilled labor and unions, we recognize that unions can absolutely play a role in carbon management technology. We're also interested in hearing about apprenticeships. How can we enhance technical training and apprenticeship programs to meet industry demands? Jeremy, in what ways do skilled labor and unions play a crucial role in ensuring the successful installation, operation, and maintenance of carbon management technologies? And how can we further enhance technical training and apprenticeship programs to meet industry demands?
All right, thanks again, Alejandro. You know, the sky's the limit. This is what we do. We train, we're the best at what we do in the industry, and I might sound biased because I am, but I also think I'm right, and I'll debate that with anybody. And when I say we, I am talking about the union crafts, right? They all have their different trainings, you know, how they do it a little bit different, but they're all top notch. I'm going to give you stats as far as what the UA is doing to continue our gold standard of training. And again, it all comes down to those partnerships again, you know, of partnering up and knowing what we need to train to, when we need to train to it, and how much of it's coming, so we can get the right amount of people. You know, the training's the crown jewel of the UA. That's what we take pride in. In Ann Arbor, every year we have an instructor training program that we bring, this year, over 1,500 instructors from around the nation to train the trainer. We spend over $270 million a year on training, and that's money that comes out of our members' pockets. They vote to allocate it to training because they're passionate about the training. But in Ann Arbor, we train to It's a 5-year graduate program for those instructors. It's a requirement that you have to be enrolled in that program or have completed that program to teach apprentices. We teach, I mean, there's a whole list. There's a book of what we teach, but some of the things we teach are hydronics, rigging, welding, pipe fad, mechanical drawing, through Revit or AutoCAD, trigonometry. But the most important thing I think we teach is we teach how to teach, right? When I came out of the field, I was an instructor in my local union. When I came out of the field, I could weld. Some say I could weld the crack of dawn. But that doesn't mean I can teach it, right? I'd flip a hood down and show a kid, and he'd go, okay, and he'd flip his hood down, and he'd weld. And we both flip our hoods up, and I go, how many fingers am I holding up? Because you're blind. That is not what I showed you. But we had to learn. We had to teach our instructors how to teach. And I'm sure a lot of educators, the ones I saw raise their hands, they totally understand that. But that's why we're the best, because our instructors care about it as much, if not more, than the apprentices do. Because we are passionate about what we do. We're passionate that every man or woman, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of what your skin color is, regardless of what God you pray to, if you pray to a God, you deserve the right to make a fair family wage and contribute to the middle-class society in America. That's where our passion comes from. So yeah, absolutely. We're poised to continue to train and tackle the CCUS world.
Thank you, Jeremy. And now we're going to be moving forward to our final question, which will be answered by Kevin Pranis. Our final question will be touching base on carbon management jobs, individuals, and communities. Now, Kevin, let's keep in mind that behind every statistic, there's a story. And behind every job, there's a family. Behind every project, there's a community. And in an era where prosperity should be inclusive, we need to explore how these opportunities can touch lives, can inspire dreams, and why not build resilient communities. Kevin, how do living wages and associated benefits can transform the lives of workers and their communities? And what are some examples of carbon management job opportunities that can positively impact people, particularly in those regions where these projects are being proposed?
Appreciate it, Alejandro, and I want to thank GPI for being here. It's great to be in this space. I live and work primarily in Minnesota. I cover North Dakota as well, and I spend an awful lot of time in rooms talking to and arguing with people who think that climate has already been solved from a technical perspective with wind and solar and a little bit of magic dust, and that's sufficient, and we just need the courage to adopt those solutions. And it is fantastic to be with industry and business folks and researchers and environmental organizations who recognize that that's not true at all, that we actually need a complete toolbox, and we need the people who can use those tools. And respect to electricians, right? But it's also more than electricians, right? It's also the folks who can do pipes and folks who can work on boilers, because those remain essential aspects of our energy system and our economy. So just to get to this question, I want to link back to, I think, the really good conversations that we've been hearing about jobs and how they resonate or don't in communities when we're pitching them, and about equity, and to think of sort of a jobs hierarchy. So, we've really tried to move on past, it's going to create 500 jobs, 1,000 jobs, we should do it for the jobs. Those, I think, aren't effective arguments in the way that we want, although I super appreciate Rhodium's digging in on the kinds of specific jobs so we can really get to what we actually mean instead of just counting jobs. Jobs are sort of like, in fact, the dirtiest word of all is a temporary job, which all tradespeople have heard at some point referring to their work on some project that someone doesn't want. But, so let's step up to the second level, which is family supporting jobs, which we heard about today, middle-class wages, but it also means health care for you and your family. And among all the trades, I'd say the laborers' bodies wear out the fastest because we do the dirtiest and the most painful work, that anybody who could avoid doing that would get a better job, would be an electrician, or they would be a welder, or they would be whatever else they could do. And so bodies wear out, people need health care, and then they need retirement before they're 70 years old, because nobody wants to labor until they're 70 years old. That's not a practical reality. And so that's what it really means to have a job, right? The economic impact of those jobs on communities is often 5 or 10 times as great as a job in tourism, a job at McDonald's or Target, right? Or frankly, a lot of non-union construction jobs that might pay $20 an hour with no benefits and no retirement and no sort of like future once your body's worn out. And then training and apprenticeship programs that are also part of that. So we have family supporting, or what we call union jobs, although they don't have to be union jobs, they typically are. And then, but I want to step beyond that to think about careers, because it's not about one job working on some project or for one contractor. Our folks, as you heard here, are working on careers, and that means that your skills on a solar project, right? You know, you're not a solar installer, because the next thing might not be solar unless you want to travel the country chasing solar. The next thing you work on might be a gas plant or a school, right? Or it might be a water and sewer project. There's all kinds of infrastructure needs, and many of those same skills, installing a silt fence on a, you know, or doing an access road to a solar project is no different than doing that same work to a pipeline, to a CO2 pipeline, to another sort, to a housing development, et cetera. And so those careers are building that portable set of skills that's applicable across lots of jobs. That means you can come in on one large project, right? Your project, if you're a developer, could be the job that gets someone into a construction career, and they might go on to do completely different work, but their life is transformed, that economy and that family is transformed, because now they have a set of skills and a path forward. And so that's what we're really trying to do with this, right? It's not just continual employment on CO2 pipelines, right, or carbon capture projects. It's about supporting an ecosystem where we're building up that workforce that can meet all of these different infrastructure needs that we have. That's critically important. And then ultimately, we're talking about lives. And if you look at these are some of our members, or if you look at these folks, we're really getting into their lives. We're talking about farmers who got into laboring because farming didn't pay the bills and they needed benefits, particularly didn't provide benefits. Like a 70-year-old farmer who's still working because he started late, but you know, he's an investor in an ethanol plant. He's also out there on the job site outworking the younger kids. He's just not as good at listening. Or we have which was true, which is eventually why he had to retire, because he wouldn't listen very well. But he was an amazing worker, everyone agreed. So we got other retirees, they're customers of this. They're a customer of a municipal electric utility, and they're going to come out to a hearing to talk about that because they've done this work before and they care about it. Or pipeliners who are the kids of farmers, and there's no more farming income to be had. There's no jobs where they grew up, right? And they get into pipelining. Those are the kind of lives that are supported here. We have got people who are heads of their Boy Scout, unit for, the entire Twin Cities metro area, right? That's what they do on their off time, because they have off time, because they have these kind of jobs. And so it's bringing those things to bear. And so a good example on this, North Dakota, we have members in North Dakota, all of them have worked in coal plants. Some of them have built gas plants. Almost all of them have worked on pipeline projects. What this represents is the chance to put those skills to work and continue earning a living. And we need to do this better. What we saw in North Dakota renewable energy has been really disturbing, where you had members who worked for years in coal plants, watch wind come in and partly replace them, and then see all the workers come from, no offense, from Texas, right? Which I'm sure the Texas folks wouldn't be happy if folks from North Dakota came and did all the work in their local community where they have to look at the wind turbines, but somebody else got the jobs. And so there's an opportunity here, and the IRA and the IIJA certainly support this in terms of prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements, developing that local workforce, creating those opportunities. And the last thing I want to say is, I think for folks in this room, thinking about, obviously we're part of the path to compliance and always encourage folks to compliance with IRA requirements, right? We're a project development asset. We are an execution asset. We're also an asset toward accomplishing equity and justice 40 goals, right? I think that, just like they told us that you couldn't find local workers to build wind farms until we could, and we went from 10% local workers to 70 within a year, because it turned out the workers were available, you just had to go find them. The same is actually true of diversity on construction, but someone has to demand it, right? Like, contractors are going to pick the path of least resistance, and that's why you need union partners and community partners to be working together, and the owners need to prioritize. If you want local jobs, we can help deliver that. If you want equity and inclusion in the workforce, that's something we can help deliver too, but it requires that intentionality and partnership, and we look forward to working with folks on that.
Thank you, Kevin. And please, can we have one more round of applause to all of our panelists? Now, there won't be any questions after this, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like an autograph from the labor panel, please look for us directly. Now, this was done on purpose because even though questions are great to continue the discussion, I just figured that in an event that has brought us all together in person, then maybe we should use that space to connect. Thank you, everyone.